Hey, I meant what I said about working together. Gwen turned at the lieutenant's voice. He stood beside her now with an extended hand. What do you say we start over? I'm sorry for being a jerk this morning. She smiled as she shook his hand. Apology accepted. He motioned to the bar stools. There's something I've been trying to figure out about you all day. Oh, yeah? She slid into the cushioned seat. He grinned. I'm curious as to what you slipped Mr. Atkins today during his interview. You saw that, huh? I had to play the tape back, but yeah. He sat in the stool beside her. A friend of mine takes in the occasional throwaway and tries to help them get back on their feet. I gave Atkins his number. So you did identify yourself? Yeah. Sorry I lied to you. That's okay. I have a hunch you had a good reason. I did. I figured the guy needed the break. According to his parole officer, he hasn't had that many of them. Do you mind filling me in on your progress on the case? I didn't get a chance to look over the file. Before she could answer, Frank returned with the drinks. He left 2 coffees and delivered the other 2 to Jake and Nick. Thanks, Frank. She took a sip of hers before answering. We're certain it's the same guy in all 3 robberies. Same MO, hits within an hour of closing, uses a .45, wears a black cap and bandana, wears gloves, so no prints. In and out in less than 3 minutes. No vehicle description. He chooses stores closest to the freeway, so I think he plans his route out ahead of time and cases the place days in advance. He then parks nearby, but out of sight of any home or traffic cameras. And you're certain Atkins isn't your man? I checked with his parole officer and employer, and the guy hasn't been in any trouble, hasn't missed work, and doesn't own a gun. That you know of. Why was he a suspect in the first place? He wasn't a suspect, only a person of interest. We have him on video as the last customer seen leaving the 3rd liquor store prior to it being robbed. Our guy is smarter than that. He added a teaspoon of sugar to his coffee and stirred it thoroughly. What's your take on the girlfriend? She did seem bitter. I wouldn't put it past her to lie. Gwen met his gaze. She hadn't noticed his green eyes earlier. I'll have a talk with the neighbors Monday to corroborate his story. It's not much of a stretch to go from burglary to armed robbery, but I'm inclined to agree with you. You're looking for a well-organized person that leaves nothing to chance. We've checked with other local towns and cities for similar MOs, but nothing has popped up yet. So he's either evolved, or he's been planning this spree for a long time. The longer he's on the loose, the more brazen he'll become. That's what she was afraid of. And after today, they were back to square one. That meant re-interviewing witnesses and going over security footage again in the hopes that she or Chris had missed something that could potentially lead them to a new suspect. Gwen had other open cases, but this one was starting to get under her skin. She and the other detectives had often sought out each other's help on tough cases, but Gwen had never gone to their previous lieutenant for help. Maybe it was time she worked on improving her reputation. If you have any suggestions, we could use the help. Really? She laughed at his surprise. I just want the guy stopped before someone gets hurt. All right. I'll stop by the station on my way home and have a look at the file. Oh, I didn't mean... I've got all weekend to unpack. It'll be a welcome diversion. Jake joined them, placing a tray full of empty cups and glasses on the counter. I'm going to run Nick home. You ready, or shall I come back and get you? I'm ready. Gwen finished her coffee, then glanced over at the lieutenant. See you Monday. Have a good weekend. In the van, Nick reached up and slapped her shoulder playfully. Looked like you and the boss were getting along good. Wonder how long that'll last. I give 'em a couple of weeks before they're at each other's throats, Jake teased. Gwen hoped that wouldn't be the case. He seemed like a pretty decent guy.